Hey, Johnnie Roberts, welcome back to another great episode of your podcast. How are you today?
Good man. It's a holiday season. Well, we got Christmas next week.
Yeah, I
Are you
know it's
ready?
crazy, isn't it?
It is. It is. The rush
Yeah,
is on. But it's been
love
awesome.
it.
We've had a
It
great Christmas time with the family and stuff. We're looking forward to it.
good. I am too. It's always good to take a little bit of time and just to pull back and just helps us remember really the purpose of life when we spend time with family and the memories that we have and that we make every year, especially as grandkids grow up and different things. It just really understands that that tends to be the purpose that we should have in life, right? In legacy. And
Absolutely.
and that's
Absolutely.
kind of what you help people do as you help them plan their retirement is talk about the purpose of life. That's part of the conversations you have and how do you set them up. But I want to talk today about the purpose of money. And I know you've got a concept around different types of money have different purposes. And so I want to understand what do you mean when you say what is the purpose of your money?
Yeah, so like everything in life, think of because money is a tool for retirement. Always think one of the things I always try to do is, okay, I've got this retirement house I've got to build. What are the tools I need? Right. So if you're going to go build something or put stuff together, man, next week you're going to be putting toys together for your kids or grandkids, right? Anyone ever done that? You got to put all the toys
Yeah.
together. Man, you don't just get one screwdriver and it puts every toy together, right?
Right.
There's so many things you need. Sometimes
Don't
you
forget
need
the
a
batteries because
Phillips.
they're not included.
Oh, the batteries are never included, and then you got to unscrew the thing to put the batteries in there. And you need a Phillips screwdriver. Maybe you need a drill gun, a flathead screwdriver, a wrench. Who knows, man? There's always stuff. Allen wrenches are a big thing on these tools.
Oh yeah.
So, but you can't just take a screwdriver with all the presents your kids got that you got to put together, and it's going to work on everything,
Right.
right? So
That's right.
everything we have that when we're trying to build something in our life has every tool has a purpose. Okay. Every tool has
Okay.
a reason to make it more simple to build whatever we're building to accomplish, right?
Right.
A drill is way easier than a screwdriver when you're screwed into wood, right? So that
Right.
drill is a perfect tool for that, you know, and
Yeah.
our money has to have a purpose. The purpose of that drill is to accomplish this. The purpose of the hammer is to accomplish this. Same thing with our money, man. What's the purpose of our money? At different stages in our life, money has different uses that we're trying to use it for. But as we get to retirement and even during before retirement years, we need to think of, okay, this money is going to go for emergency fund. If I lose my job, where am I going to go for the next 3 to 6 months? So I'm
Yeah.
going to be okay. I got no my bills are covered.
Right.
And we got longer term money. You know what I mean? For big expenses that come out of nowhere. So I'm saving for those purposes. This money is in case, remember, like a month ago or whatever, your car broke down out of nowhere. You were telling me
Yep.
before, and all of a sudden you got to get 1,500 bucks out of nowhere, right?
Yep.
But if you have a pot of money that the purpose for that is those type of things, I'm good to go. The purpose of this money for retirement, it's my income. I need to make sure this amount of money here is going to last me rest of my life.
Yeah.
Maybe this amount of money here is for all those trips we've been planning to take when we get retired, you and your spouse or whatever, want to go in
Right.
all those kind of places. Because if you just have it all mumbled together, then you're not going to build the proper retirement house that you need to. So you need to think of
Yeah.
money with a purpose. Uh, this money is going to be designated, and you start early. And if you're retired, you've got all this money sitting there because you've saved, you don't know what to do with it. Okay, this money is going to be for this once again. We're going to try and make it tax free if we can. This money is
Yeah.
the vacation money. This money is for maybe grandkids' education or leaving to somebody, or uh, this money is going to go towards life insurance for legacy planning, long term.
Yeah.
So all those type of things when you're going to build this house of retirement, man, you got to have a purpose behind everything you're doing. Otherwise, you're just
Yeah.
like,
That's interesting, Johnny. Man, you took me back about 40 years. I remember when I first started out working, I mean, I was like, what, 17, 18, 19, something like that. My mom said, you need to go to the credit union and get a savings account. But she said, you also need to set up a Christmas fund account that they have. And she did exactly what you just said. I took money every time I got paid and I put some in savings and I took a little bit and I put it in my Christmas fund so that when I got to November, I had money to go buy Christmas gifts. And that's kind of what you're talking about. That money was designed for its purpose was to buy Christmas gifts. And I have other purposes of money now for groceries and utility bills and car repairs and all of that. That same concept around budgeting, I guess you would say, applies to retirement planning and having different purposes for the monies that you have. Is that kind of, did I get it?
Absolutely, yeah. Once again, there's different buckets during retirement that you need to be able to withdraw from. Because if if all your money is in one spot and there's really no purpose for it, it's almost like it's easier just to grab in there like a madman and just start pulling stuff out. Next thing you know, you look back in that bucket, you're like, that's all I got left. But when you
Yes.
have things that are purposeful, you maybe can have a bucket of money like that, where you can be the madman with that bucket of money. But the other buckets, the other money, you have to have a purpose for. You know what I'm saying? I'm not
Right.
saying you can't enjoy and do what you want to do, but definitely make a distinct difference between types of money, of what you got going on during retirement. It'll help you be much more successful, I think, and build a more solid house.
Yeah, absolutely. And the cool thing about I love talking with you and because you make what to me is very complex. You make it you're like really simple. And I think when people come and talk with you, when I think planning for retirement, I think like a bowl of spaghetti. I mean, everything's just all mounded together and everything. And I think what you do, maybe this is a bad analogy. You're more like lasagna. You got layer,
That's
right?
right.
I'm hungry. I'm sorry. Dinner's coming, man.
Meat
But
lasagna. Meat
it's
lasagna.
it's coming out and saying, "Here's what I've got." And then Johnny says, "Okay, what are we gonna need in this bucket here for, let's say, income? How about the bucket for taxes? How about the bucket for vacations? How about how?" And you just have conversations, and Johnny does all the hard work, the math, he's the recipe guy and the chef. But we have to think about it this way because otherwise it's just, yeah, our house is gonna be built on sand, as Jesus would say, right? And we don't want that.
Absolutely.
We want a solid foundation, and knowing that if I want to go to Israel and that's going to cost $12,000, guess what? In my travel bucket, I may have 8,000 or I may have 12,000. That tells me when I can go to Israel. And we save and we purpose money. And then over here, I got another bucket that's income that I don't touch because that's my paycheck every month, right? I mean, that's kind of conceptually what you do.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Is because remember, if you don't make a blueprint, you can never build something successfully. So even if you're just building something in your backyard or whatever, you know what I mean? You got to draw it out a little bit, get a picture in your mind of, okay, this is going to go there, this is going to go there, this is going to go there, because you got to be able to, you can't take a 12-foot board and an 8-foot board and build the same wall. You got to know
Right.
the measurements, right? This is going to be 8 feet across. So I got to make sure that all these boards are cut 8 foot across here. And
Right.
so, you've got to make sure you plan that way, plan it out. Like this is what it's going to be. So I know these boards I got to cut to 8 feet. Now, this one over here, I'm going to do this over here with this one. You know what I mean? But you got
Yep.
to get a picture in your head of what
Right.
you're trying to do and what you want to make purposeful with your money.
Absolutely. Yeah. And dealing with money is very similar. All right. So let's just use this podcast, right? This podcast is really easy for you to do because you're an expert and I just come and ask you questions. And that's what you do with your clients. They come in and you sit down and you just ask them questions. They give you answers. And in your mind and in your formulas, your blueprints, you're taking things and going, okay, we need that and that and this and that. And then you can probably turn it around and say, based on what you just told me, here's what you've got, and we might need to make, let's talk about a couple of different changes or whatever, but here are the buckets you have, here's the purposes I heard you tell me, and what you're wanting to do. We need these buckets. Is that, and you have a conversation, because I think so many times it's so much easier, Johnny, when we meet with somebody like you, and I can just talk, and then
Absolutely.
you structure the plan. It's like, oh, well, that makes sense. And then you just
Absolutely.
walk people through, and that's really what you help people do.
Problem solver. You got to solve. First of all, you got to anticipate what problems I might have.
Yeah.
Right? What could happen? What do I got? So I need know what these issues are. And then we try to solve those together. Wouldn't you rather know if you came to me with a bucket and said, I got to build a house with this?
Yeah.
Wouldn't you may rather tell you, well, you can't have cathedral ceilings in this house, Mike, based on what you have, but you can have 8-foot ceilings in your house. Wouldn't
Right.
you rather know that besides just starting to invest and put all this money somewhere? Next thing you know, like, oh my gosh, this ain't gonna, I can only build half my house.
Right.
If we would have planned ahead of time, we're like, instead of cathedral here, this is
Right.
what you're able to do with this. You can get things situated and adjusted and planned out properly, and maybe adjust a few things. Maybe you can't spend 20,000 a year on vacations, but you can spend 10,000 a year on vacations.
That's right.
With what you have going on. Because if you
Yeah.
did 4 or 5 years of spending 20 grand on vacations, guess what? You're gonna have a messed up time farther down the road. So once again, taking this big old plop of stuff that you got and
Yeah.
having purpose for everything in there will help you get a vision of what you're going to go and what you're going to be able to accomplish. And if we can make it so you can get cathedral ceilings, man, with a few tweaks, we're going to do our best.
Yeah.
But we're going to make sure that you try to reach the goals closest that you can, what's important to you.
Absolutely. And that's all because Johnny understands the purpose of money. You've got different purposes for your money in retirement. So why don't you reach out and talk with Johnny about it? Go to his website, retireatnewheights.com. You can get a free copy of his Amazon bestselling book there. You can schedule a time to sit down and talk with him about the purpose of your money in retirement. Johnny, thanks again, man. It's been a great episode. Love the way you make things simple and understandable. That's really, really valuable. Thanks for doing that, brother.
Appreciate it, man. Have a great Christmas. Enjoy. Get all those tools for all them toys.
Absolutely. We will. Merry Christmas. Bye-bye.
You too.